Have you ever stopped and wondered if all that goal-setting advice, actually leads to a more fulfilling life? Or does it just uh, add more stuff to your to-do list, leaving you feeling like you're never quite there?
Yeah, that's a really common feeling, and it's exactly what we're diving into today.
Great. So we're looking at this link between setting goals and, well, self-fulfillment.
Exactly. We've pulled together quite a mix, some philosophy, psychology research, practical advice, lots of insights you've shared.
And the mission.
The mission is to really unpack this connection, go beyond just, yes or no. We want to figure out what truly matters for you.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. What are we actually talking about with self-fulfillment versus goal setting? They feel pretty different. One seems very internal.
You've hit on a key point, self-fulfillment. Well, think of it as realizing your deepest potential, your aspirations. It's that feeling, that deep yes, when life feels aligned with who you are.
Not just checking boxes.
Definitely not. You might hear terms like self-realization, self-actualization. Maslow put it at the top of his hierarchy, remember? It's this big, sometimes kind of abstract idea of becoming.
Right. And goal setting is the opposite, much more concrete.
Exactly. Goal setting is, the practical process, setting specific targets, usually with timelines.
Like the SMART goals thing. Specific, measurable.
That's the one. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. It's very much about action, about doing. So yeah, you have this sort of internal sense of being versus this external process of achieving.
Okay, so how do they connect? How can setting these tangible goals actually feed into that more abstract feeling of fulfillment?
Well, psychologically, the link is pretty significant. Goals give you direction, a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That clarity fuels motivation, helps you persist when things get tough. And interestingly, even really challenging goals can make you try harder
Really, why is that?
because the desire for that meaningful outcome can make the obstacles seem smaller. And what's really fascinating is what happens in the brain. Setting a goal can actually, believe it or not, strengthen neural pathways.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like it makes it easier to build the habits you need to reach the goal. Your brain literally gets better at doing what you're aiming for, almost like exercising a muscle.
That's a powerful way to think about it. Our brains are sort of backing our intentions.
Exactly. And it's not just motivation. Goals, especially ones that align with your core values, they give life a deeper sense of meaning.
Right.
This connection to purpose actually triggers the brain's reward system. You get that dopamine hit when you make progress.
Ah, okay. So that reinforces the feeling of fulfillment.
Precisely. And, achieving goals, big or small, it really builds your self-esteem, your confidence. Each win confirms that you can do things.
It sounds like a positive feedback loop then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Success breeds more confidence for the next step.
Absolutely. And that whole process, the striving towards goals, that's a huge driver for personal growth.
How so?
Well, goals give you a structure to turn aspirations into something real. They often push you out of your comfort zone, right? Make you learn new skills.
Yeah, definitely.
And ultimately, the research backs this up. People who commit to goals generally report higher life satisfaction, better well-being overall. There was even a program called Happiness Through Goal-Setting Training.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it showed that focusing on why you're chasing a goal can really boost your psychological health.
Okay, so the cycling seems pretty solid. But this isn't exactly a new idea, is it? Philosophers must have thought about this connection between our aims and a good life.
Oh, for sure. This goes way back. The ancient Greeks, for instance, they saw self-fulfillment as, well, central. Aristotle's idea of eudaimonia.
Which is often translated as flourishing.
Exactly, flourishing. For him, it was about living a life of virtue, of rational reflection. The ultimate goal was cultivating your best self, morally and intellectually, over your whole life. And interestingly, it wasn't just an individual thing for them. Both Plato and Aristotle thought the ideal city-state, the community, should actually help its citizens achieve that fulfillment.
So the environment matters too. That makes sense.
Absolutely. Then you've got the Stoics. They also talked about eudaimonia, but they linked it more to virtue and living in tune with nature.
Okay.
Their view is really interesting because they felt fulfillment wasn't so much about the final outcome, the achievement itself,
But more about...
more about the process, about acting virtuously, mindfully, right here and now, finding value in doing the right thing for its own sake.
That's quite a shift. Less focus on the future win, more on how you're living right now.
Exactly. Now, fast forward to modern philosophy. The explicit focus on self-fulfillment maybe isn't quite as strong, but the ideas are still there.
Hmm.
You have thinkers like Alan Gerworth arguing it's still crucial, bringing your deepest desires or best abilities to life. And existentialism, well, that emphasizes the striving itself, creating a meaningful life for yourself as key to fulfillment.
It's fascinating how these different lenses view fulfillment and our role in achieving it. But look, it can't all be positive, right? Surely there are downsides to being too laser-focused on goals as the only path.
You're absolutely right to ask that. There are definitely potential pitfalls, big ones sometimes.
Like what?
Well, the pressure. The intense pressure to achieve, especially really ambitious goals, can ramp up stress and anxiety significantly. That constant must-do better drive can actually make underlying anxieties worse.
Okay.
And there's this interesting thing called action crises. It seems to happen more when your motivation is controlled, like you feel you have to do it, maybe due to external pressure.
Action crises, what's that?
It's like feeling totally stuck. You
Yeah.
desperately want to reach the goal, but you simultaneously feel this strong pull to just give up.
Oof, that sounds like a really unpleasant internal tug of war.
It really is. It's draining, and research links it to higher stress hormones, even worse depressive symptoms.
Wow. Okay, so pressure is one thing.
Yeah.
What else?
Setting unrealistic goals, or just too many goals. That's a recipe for frustration, disappointment, and eventually burnout.
Right. Spreading yourself too thin.
Exactly. That relentless chase, especially if it knocks your life out of balance, it just depletes your energy, which is, the opposite of fulfillment. There's even a term, the overachiever's spiral.
Sounds ominous.
It can be. It's when this fear-driven, goal-obsessed mindset becomes really unhealthy. It actually fuels more anxiety and can even hurt your performance in the long run.
So it's like you can get so fixated on the destination, you completely miss the journey
Mm-hmm.
and maybe even crash before you get there.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, intense focus on specific goals can create this tunnel vision.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah, where you start neglecting other really important parts of life, relationships, your own well-being, maybe even ethical considerations sometimes.
I can see that.
It leads to an imbalanced life, which, ultimately undermines satisfaction. If you're only focused on what you can measure, the important stuff that's harder to quantify can get ignored.
Right.
And one last big one, postponing happiness. That goals-first mentality, always thinking, I'll be happy when.
When I get the promotion, when I finish this project.
Exactly. It stops you appreciating the present, that there's a name for it, the arrival fallacy. You think reaching the goal will bring lasting happiness, but often it doesn't. Or not for long.
That really underscores how the why behind our goals is maybe just as important as the what, isn't it?
Absolutely crucial. The type of motivation driving the goal is key. We often talk about intrinsic versus extrinsic goals.
Okay, break those down for us.
Sure. Intrinsic goals come from within. Things like personal growth, connecting with others, improving your health, they're inherently satisfying to pursue.
Things you do for the love of doing them, essentially.
Pretty much. Extrinsic goals, on the other hand, are about external rewards. Money, status, fame, looking good to others.
Right, and the difference in impact.
It's huge. Research consistently shows intrinsic goals are linked to much higher life satisfaction, better well-being, better psychological health overall. They seem to tap into our basic psychological needs, autonomy, competence, relatedness.
So those are the goals that really feed our souls, so to speak.
Exactly. They nourish us from within. And extrinsic goals, well, they're often tied to lower life satisfaction, more negative feelings, anxiety, depression.
Really? Lower.
Yeah. Chasing external approval can become a treadmill you can't get off. What's really telling is making progress on intrinsic goals gives you a genuine well-being boost. Progress on extrinsic goals often has little lasting impact, or sometimes none at all.
Yeah.
And this ties directly back to values. When your goals align with what you genuinely believe is important, they provide that deep sense of meaning we talked about, that engages the reward system, gives you purpose, satisfaction. It all connects.
Okay, this is super helpful. So if goal setting, especially the wrong kind of goal setting, isn't the only way, what else is there? What are other paths to that feeling of self-fulfillment?
Great question. There are several really powerful alternatives or maybe complements to goal setting.
Like what?
Well, one is mindfulness, the practice of being fully present right here, right now, without judgment.
How does that help?
It fosters this deep appreciation for the moment and self-acceptance. That in itself can be incredibly fulfilling. It helps you connect with yourself and figure out what truly matters beyond the next target.
Okay, mindfulness. What else?
Simply finding meaning in life. This isn't necessarily tied to a future goal. It can come from feeling like your life makes sense, like you have a purpose, like you matter, often through relationships, contributing to something bigger than yourself.
So less about achieving, more about connecting and contributing in the present.
Exactly. And related to that is actively living by your core values, day to day.
How's that different from value line goal?
It's more continuous. If your daily actions reflect what you believe in, that provides an ongoing sense of purpose, even without a specific endpoint goal you're shooting for. Some philosophies really emphasize this finding fulfillment by just engaging passionately with your principles right now.
Interesting. No rigid future targets needed.
Potentially, yeah.
Oh,
And finally, building sustainable systems and routines. Instead of focusing only on finite goals, you focus on creating habits and processes that reflect your values.
like James Clear's atomic habits idea. Systems over goals.
Sort of like that, yeah.
Yeah.
It creates this continuous sense of progress and fulfillment from just engaging in meaningful activities consistently.
Okay, so pulling this all together. The relationship between goals and fulfillment sounds, well, complicated. It's not just set goal, achieve goal, feel fulfilled.
That sums it up perfectly. The link is definitely nuanced. It really, really depends on the how and the why.
How you set them and why you're pursuing them.
Exactly. That intrinsic motivation, that alignment with your authentic values, that seems absolutely critical.
Right.
So while goal setting absolutely can offer direction, motivation, chances to grow, we need to be careful. Careful not to rely on it exclusively or let external pressures hijack our aims.
So it's a tool, but not the only tool, and maybe not always the right tool.
Precisely. Fulfillment is, it's holistic. It's bigger than just ticking off goals. It can be nurtured in many ways.
Okay, so for you listening, a few key things to maybe take away here. Setting meaningful goals, ones that come from you and align with your values, that can definitely be a powerful path towards fulfillment.
Yes, it can be. But remember, the journey, the process, it matters just as much, maybe more, than the destination.
Right. And there are other totally valid ways to cultivate a satisfying life that don't revolve solely around hitting specific targets. Mindfulness, meaning, values, systems.
Which leads to maybe a final thought or a question for you to ponder. Take a really honest look at your own goals. Are they truly yours? Deep down. And are you finding some sense of fulfillment, some meaning in the process of pursuing them right now, regardless of what the final outcome might be?
That's definitely something worth reflecting on. We really encourage you to keep exploring this, maybe see which approach or which blend of approaches feels most authentic to you. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.